I am your storyteller, and tonight I bring you a story that should never have been remembered, let alone told in the dark. But tell me, where are you from, listener? Leave your country in the comments below, if you dare. This happened about 6 months ago, back when I was still teaching high school. It was a regular weekday morning, nothing out of the ordinary, until the lockdown announcement came over the intercom. But this time, it wasn't a drill. Our school went into a non-drill lockdown due to a threat at the nearby middle school. Something about a suspicious individual spotted on campus. We weren't told much at the time, just that it was serious. Now the classroom, next to mine, was built strangely. Its entire sidewall was made of frosted glass. It looked cool from a design perspective, but in a lockdown, it might as well have been made of tissue paper. So whenever we had these situations, the teacher next door would bring her students into my classroom, and we'd lock both doors. When they came in, I could immediately tell this wasn't going to go smoothly. See, in most drills, the kids are quiet. They roll their eyes and follow instructions because they know it's fake. But this time they knew it wasn't. There were no warnings, no scheduled drills. This was real. And yet, the behavior I saw from some of those students was unbelievable. While my own class quietly huddled away from the windows, a few of the kids from next door just refused to stop talking, whispering at first, then louder, laughing. One kid, and I wish I was joking, pulled out his phone and started playing Clash of Clans at full volume. It echoed through the room for a solid 5 seconds before I snapped at him. Another group decided to act like this was a joke. They noticed how stressed the teachers were, and instead of taking it seriously, they fed into it, groaning loudly, making dumb noises, trying to get a reaction. While we were locked in a room, not knowing if someone with a weapon was just... Down the hall, I was furious. I tried to stay calm, but my hands were shaking, not just from anger, but from the sheer stupidity of it all. These weren't little kids. These were high schoolers, old enough to understand what a school shooting looks like, old enough to know what could be waiting on the other side of the door. When the lockdown was finally lifted, we found out the person on the middle school campus had been apprehended. No weapons, no injuries, just a scare. But what I saw that day stuck with me. I ended up writing up several of the students afterward. Not that it mattered. These days, write-ups are practically meaningless. A slap on the wrist, and if that, it's one of the reasons I left teaching. What haunts me isn't the lockdown itself. It's the reaction. The fact that even with a very real threat, some students treated it like a joke, like they were invincible, like it was just another boring Wednesday to mess around. Because the truth is, if something had happened, if someone had come through that door, they wouldn't have had time to take it seriously. This happened during my last year of high school, and even though it's been over a year now, it still lingers in the back of my mind every single day. You probably remember the killer clown craze that swept through the internet a while back. Most people laughed it off as a dumb prank. People dressing up in clown suits to scare random folks for TikTok views or Twitter clout. But for my school, it got way too real. It started with a tweet. 2 clown accounts, both with profile pictures of bloody masks, tweeted that they were going to show up to our school at 11 a.m. sharp and, quote, make the hallways run red. Most of us thought it was fake, a joke. But then the school sent out an email to all the parents. That's when it started to feel serious. They scheduled a lockdown drill for 10:30, just in case. So we're sitting in history class when the lockdown alarm goes off. You know the drill. Teacher rushes to the door, locks it, closes the blinds, shuts off the lights. Everyone moves to the corner, quiet. At first it felt routine, but something about it didn't sit right. Maybe it was the silence, too long, too still. 40 minutes passed. Then, the emergency green lights blinked off. Next, the air conditioning cut out and the hallway lights went dead. That's not standard. The school had cut the power. I looked around. Nobody was speaking, but we all knew something was seriously wrong. About 10 minutes later, the quiet was broken by a faint banging sound from down the hall. Then the sound of someone running. Fast. Heavy boots slamming against tile. Lockers being kicked. Then a scream. "I'll kill you all. Just die." A couple of girls in my class started crying quietly. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might give me away. I stayed frozen, eyes locked on the door. And then we saw him. A man in a full clown costume sprinted up to our door. Red hair, white paint, blood smeared on his cheek. Whether real or fake, I still don't know. He started pounding on the door with both fists, screaming, this primal, guttural yell. People in the room started sobbing. One of my friends leaned over and whispered, "We're all going to die." That was the first time I cried during the whole thing. The clown eventually moved on. We heard his footsteps fading down the hall, along with the faint echoes of his screaming. And then we sat in silence for 2 more hours. Eventually, the loudspeaker came on, a voice we hadn't heard all day. The principal. He sounded shaken. He explained that just after 11, 2 men, one holding a kitchen knife, the other a camera, had entered the building. They ran through the halls, threatening students, filming everything. Police were called. The school was swarmed. But they only caught one of the guys. The other slipped away. Disappeared. Nobody was physically hurt. That part, we were lucky. But we were mentally wrecked. The school brought in over 20 buses to take the younger kids home. The rest of us, a 9th grade and up, were told to walk home in groups and call the cops if we saw anything suspicious. I remember walking home, gripping a pocket knife in my hoodie, jumping at every car that slowed down near me. The hardest part wasn't that day, though. It was the week after. Every time I walked into the building, I wondered, was that second guy coming back? Was he hiding somewhere nearby? Was this all just the beginning? He still hasn't been caught, and I honestly don't think they're even looking anymore. No updates, no leads, just silence. But that silence says more than I want to admit. It tells me he's still out there, watching, waiting. Since then, the school's added security, on-campus officers, auto-locking doors, emergency alarms. That's helped a little, but not enough. Because when you've been in a situation like that, when you've seen evil at your classroom door, you never really feel safe again. It sticks with you. Forever. This story still haunts me to this day, and I don't know if I'll ever forget it. I'm a 17-year-old guy, and I go to a high school that's built right next to a forest. For as long as I've been a student there, the school administration has warned us never to go near that forest. It's in the rule book. Teachers mention it casually, but always with this odd look, like they're more afraid than they let on. My friends and I used to joke about what was really back there. A secret lab, an old cult site, maybe a killer hiding out. Typical teen curiosity. So we made a plan. Thursday morning before school, we'd sneak in for a quick look. That was the plan. Wednesday afternoon was the last normal moment I had. We were sitting in last period just waiting for the bell when something strange happened. The classroom doors locked, but not just locked, sealed. No one could get them open. At first it felt like a prank, but then panic spread. The teacher tried to calm a girl who broke down crying, but no one could focus on his words. Then we heard it, screaming, not from inside the room, but outside. Multiple screams, agonized, raw. I jumped up and moved to the window, but before I could look out, my teacher stepped in front of me and said, "You don't want to see that." The room fell silent, unnaturally silent. Everyone looked scared, frozen. I sat back down, my mind racing. What the hell was going on? Then more screams, louder this time, followed by a massive bang that shook the windows. I couldn't take it anymore. I shoved through the cluster of students, reached the window, and what I saw still messes with my head. There was this thing. I don't even know how to describe it properly. Long, matted black hair, blood all over its face and chest, its mouth dripping with something dark. It wore a torn white dress stained and ripped like it had clawed its way out of something. But the way it moved, that's what haunts me. It ran on all fours. But not like an animal. Its head was twisted completely backward, and its limbs bent, wrong, like it had no bones. I watched it chase a girl, someone from my gym class, down the hallway. She didn't stand a chance. It caught her in seconds, tackled her like a predator, and began tearing into her. I tugged at my friend's shirt and told him to look. He whispered, barely audible, "It can sense us. We're next." Chills ran down my back. My legs went numb. Then, 3 knocks at the door. Hard. Deliberate. Silence again. The girl who had been crying suddenly stopped. She turned toward the door and whispered to her boyfriend, "I don't have a good feeling about this." Before anyone could react, the one window that had been cracked open slammed shut on its own. Nobody was near it. The air grew heavier, harder to breathe. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. I grabbed a chair, the only thing I could use as a weapon. Everyone held their breath. And then, it entered. The door creaked open and this thing crawled in. It smelled like death, like something that had been buried for days and dug up. The creature stood and scanned the room, then locked its head, still facing backward, onto the couple. Its skin was ghostly pale. It let out a bone-chilling screech and lunged. The way it moved, I wanted to puke. I still do, thinking about it. It tore into the couple in front of us. No one screamed, no one moved. We just watched. My friend and I bolted, ran out of the classroom and down the hallway, but we stopped when we saw what was ahead. Bodies, dozens of them. Torn apart, limbs twisted. The hallway was soaked in blood. "How did it do this?" I whispered. "There's no way it's alone." My friend was in shock. He let out a shaky scream. A mistake. The creature heard it. It tore down the hall in a blur. We tried to run, but it was too fast. It grabbed my friend. I had to watch him get shredded apart like paper. I hid, back in the classroom. I didn't even cry out. I just watched through the crack in the door as it devoured him. I slid the door closed, silent tears running down my face, and crouched, in the corner, hoping it wouldn't hear me. Then the teacher did something I wasn't expecting. He gathered the remaining students, only a few of us, and finally told us the truth. "This happens every 20 years, he said. "The forest, it's not just cursed, that thing. It lives there. We built this school over its land." He told us the creature was once human, bitten by something we don't understand, something worse. It was punishing us for being here, feeding on us like it has for generations. I asked him how we could survive. His answer, "There's no escape. Don't look it in the eye, don't move, and pray it's not hungry." That was 3 days ago. I'm writing this from the corner of the classroom. I can still hear it, crunching bones, tearing flesh. It doesn't care about the screaming anymore. I'm the only one left, aside from one other kid who's too scared to speak. I've been here 3 days and 17 hours. No food, no sleep, no hope. If this is the last thing I write, just know, don't go near that forest. Ever.